నమస్కారం. డాక్టర్ బిఆర్ అంబేద్కర్ సార్వత్రిక విశ్వవిద్యాలయ విద్యార్థులకు స్వాగతం. Welcome to the tele-lesson program of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. This tele-lesson is intended for the Master of Library and Information Science students. Acquiring the information, storage of the information, locating the information and retrieval and dissemination of information are the main important tasks of any librarian. Traditionally, the librarians have been discharging these duties with the help of certain tools like catalogs, classification tools, so on and so forth. With the emergence of the internet, lot of information is available in digital form. In order to search the information, the user needs specialized skills. In today's tele-lesson, we will try to examine what are the different databases available on science and technology, and also we will try to know certain how to formulate this different search strategies to retrieve the information from the different databases. So to discuss this topic in detail, we have with us Shri P.Divakar garu. He is the Manager of the Knowledge Group, CCMB, a premier scientific institution. Welcome sir to this tele-lesson. We will discuss who are the users and what are the changes that are happening in the three components, that is the users, their demands and also to the resources that are being available, and also the changes that are taking place in the search process. Sir, can you focus on these aspects?
Yeah. Let us first look at who are our users. In a science and technology setup, typically we have a lot of students coming into the library asking for S&T information. They could be master's degree students or PhD students. Sometimes we call the PhD students as PhD scholars. And there would also be faculty members visiting us and seeking S&T information, and there would also be professional scientists who come and demand services from us, and we may also be helping the planners, managers and policy makers of science and technology enterprises. So looking at the background of these kind of users, and let us see what kind of changes have taken place during the last 10 to 15 years from the attitude of the users. As you know, previously users were physically walking into a library and trying to locate whatever they want. They used to go to a catalog, open the catalog, and then note down some number and then go to the shelf and then try to see what they want. And then in case of difficulty, they used to approach a library staff member, and then they used to get satisfied with whatever the librarian used to give help. But nowadays, with the advent of internet, what is happening is the people coming to a library physically for seeking information has relatively come down, because the library in a way has gone to the desktop of the users. So instead of coming to the library, they use computer, they use internet to find whatever they want, and most often they go to Google, and people even use Google has now become part of their activity, that they say I am Googling. Google even has become a word by itself. Now just as they go and do a search in a library, they go to Google or go to internet and try to locate whatever they want. So in that way, instead of coming physically to a library, they are visiting internet and the World Wide Web and looking at their favorite resources. But now what is happening is they are very choosy, very specific, because they go and then put their search terms and then try to locate what they want, because research also has become very fast, their time also has become limited. So, and they are now more focused on what they want. Previously when you give a book to a user used to be grossly happy. They used to take the book and then read the book, maybe they photocopy a few pages and then return it to the institute. But now what is happening is, what the demand is, I want a PowerPoint graph, I want an image which I can put in my PowerPoint, so that I can teach my students with that. So those are the kinds of demand that users are asking now. So users are very specific, very choosy.
They are specific about the format also.
Yes.
Maybe they may require a particular image or photograph or a formula also they may be searching for.
True.
So these are the different changes that have happened in the way the user is approaching the information.
Yeah. And they also want content very fast, and then they start doing some experiment, and then in the middle of the experiment, and then they telephone you and then ask, I got stuck up with it. Is there a way of doing that? Okay. Similarly, if you are in a hospital setup, and then the doctor asks the librarian, there is particular emergency, particular kind of information is needed. Can you help? In real time, you need to search a database and then deliver the content to the user. So that some important decisions need to be taken at the user end. And then apart from that, a lot of changes also have taken place in the content itself. Previously, predominantly we used to have print-based material in libraries. Now, the print-based material is slowly giving away to digital content. Okay, when we talk about digital content, now we have e-books, e-journals, and then practically every resource that used to be available in a library in print form is now available in a digital way, and then fully searchable. Added advantage now is, previously people need to be satisfied with whatever index is there at the end of the book, or whatever index volume a particular journal prints in the month of December. But now it's no more the case. Now practically every word in the text is searchable thanks to the sophisticated search strategies. And not only the text, even images are now searchable, even graphic content is searchable, and a wide variety of a combination of searching is possible. Like now you can have an author word, and you can combine it with a text word, you can combine it with a label of an image, and you can combine it with the address. A plethora of combinations are now possible with the search technology. So, a lot of changes have taken place in the user side, a lot of changes have taken place in the content itself, and a lot of changes also have taken place in the way we perform the search, rather in the search strategy, in the search technology. So all these things, have done a lot of good to the society, to the users, to the development of science and technology as such.
The search has become more sophisticated with the emergence of the internet and other technologies. So you can as you said, you can also perform a search using the natural language.
True.
So and the thesaurus or dictionaries, they are inbuilt into the databases itself. Can you explain this about this artificial intelligence that is built into the search?
Yeah, actually, when you perform a search in a computerized database, what you actually do is you put in some words. Okay, you type in some words, and what the system does is, what the software does is, in the background there is an index of these words, a kind of a dictionary of these words, and then the words that you type in are matched with the words that are there in the index. If there is some kind of a similarity, some information will be retrieved. If there is no similarity, you get a response that there is no information available on that area. But nowadays what is happening is, the search process has become very smart. Okay, suppose there is some problem in the word that you give, it tries to correct the word. Suppose you make a spelling mistake, and the system will automatically do spelling correction. It will make you suggestions, it will give you some suggestions like, do you mean this? Such kind of responses you get. And also in technical terminology, what happens is, you use the word cancer. Okay, and in English language there are plenty of words that describe the status called cancer. And in the database, cancer need not necessarily be the standard terminology. For example, in medical terminology, neoplasm is a more standard term than cancer. So the authors and researchers use neoplasm. Suppose you are performing a search using the word cancer, then what the system does is it automatically looks in the vocabulary control device built into the system and looks at what are all the nearer and what are all the better terms for cancer. Once it identifies that neoplasm is a better word or a more standard word, it replaces the word cancer with neoplasm and performs a search in the background. So this is a kind of artificial intelligence that is built into the search process now. So the user need not necessarily remember the exact terminology or exact spelling even. So the system automatically corrects the spelling, corrects the terminology, and then perform the search in the background.
Now, can you please tell our learners, tell our students about what are the different databases that are on science and technology that are available on the internet, and then we can proceed to how to search the databases.
Yeah, just as you have different resources in a library, on the internet also we have various resources. For example, we have books in a library. Similarly, we have electronic books on the internet. And similarly, we have print journals and we have electronic journals. We have print dictionaries, we have electronic dictionaries. Like for example, since we are talking about science and technology, we have resources like electronic Merck Index. Merck Index was a very famous resource for people working in chemistry, in pharmaceutical areas. Similarly, we have resources like Dictionary of Organic Compounds, which scientists use. So now Dictionary of Organic Compounds is available in an electronic format. Suppose you know the name of a chemical, or you know the formula of it, or you know the structure of it, you can perform very sophisticated searches in Dictionary of Organic Compounds. Or similarly, if you know the cache number, you can perform a search. Similarly, a lot of science encyclopedias are also available, like the McGraw-Hill Science Encyclopedia, and several other encyclopedias are available in an electronic format on the internet. And similarly, we have also a lot of indexing and abstracting resources also available. As you know, our students are familiar with resources like chemical abstracts. So now the same print chemical abstracts is available in an electronic form, which is fully searchable. It is called CA Online. Similarly, the old Index Medicus, which used to be there in print format, has now become PubMed. PubMed is an open access resource. So PubMed, you can perform very sophisticated searches using PubMed. Similarly, in the area of agricultural sciences, we have resources like Agris, which comes from FAO. We also have CABI, which is from the Commonwealth Agricultural Bureau. We also have a few other commercial products like the Web of Science, which is a multidisciplinary database. And similarly, in the area of engineering, we have Engineering Village. In the area of earth sciences, we have GeoRef. And in the area of electronics and communications and computer field, we have IEEE Explore. So we have a plethora of resources available in science and technology. You name any subject, there is a resource available, there is a database available today which is fully searchable.
Can you please explain the concept of open access resources and some of the important open access resources that are available in science and technology?
Yeah, there are two kinds of resources available on the internet. One kind of resources are behind a subscription model, that is, you need to pay for using those services. For example, if you want chemical abstracts or Web of Science, you need to pay subscription for that. Your institute needs to pay subscription for that, or the library pays subscription for that. Mostly it is annual subscription. So when you pay annual subscription for 365 days, that resource is made available to all the researchers connected to the institute. So practically now we have IP based access. In IP based access, what we have is any computer connected to the institution's network will automatically have access to that resource that has been subscribed by the institute. So that is the situation with the pay kind of resources. And we also have another kind of resources which are available without any payment model. Such things are called open access resources. The most important among the open access resources is the PubMed, for example. So PubMed is a major database in biomedical areas. It's very strong in clinical sciences. It covers not only the modern medicine, it also covers a lot of the non-traditional forms of medicine also is covered by in that. Like for example, it has a lot of content on Ayurveda, Unani, homeopathy, apart from the modern medicine. So though the core subject is medicine, it also covers the related areas like chemistry, for example. It also covers a lot of molecular biology, because these are related to the medicine discipline as such. Similarly, in the area of educational sciences also a lot of open access resources are available. So similarly, in agriculture a lot of open access material is available. The Agris that we discussed little while ago is also an open access database because it is supported by the FAO. In agriculture, we have a lot of free resources. In medicine, a lot of free resources are available. In biology, also a lot of resources are available. So in education, also a lot of resources are available. And a lot of courseware is also available in science and technology, for example. MIT is making available all their lessons in science and technology are made available from MIT. Similarly, the PhD theses are also available. The science theses are also available in an open access mode. For example, we have our Indian Shodh Ganga from the University Grants Commission. Similarly, there are a lot of, like Shodh Ganga, there are other sources also available on the internet, which caters to the needs of science and technology researchers.
So let us now quickly go through the different search techniques that we can use to explore and retrieve the documents or information from these different databases. Search, how efficiently we can formulate, what are the steps involved in the locating the information and then identifying the source, relevant source, and formulating a search strategy and retrieving the information. Can you please explain this to our students?
Yeah, if you are a familiar user to a library, what you normally do is you go directly to a shelf and pick up the book that you want. Similarly, on the internet, if you know the URL, you directly type in the URL and do whatever you want. For example, you directly go to the browser and put www.pubmed.gov. It will take you to the site and then you open it up and do whatever you want. When you know the URL exactly. And it's not possible for all of us to remember all the URLs. So in that situation, we go to some search engine. And most of you are familiar with Google, for example. So you go to Google and then perform your search. Google will take you to the right kind of URLs. But Google is a very good resource, but there are many resources which are better than Google, for example. Google Scholar is much better than Google. Because Google Scholar is more scholarly, because we are talking about S&T scholarly information. So Google Scholar gives much crisp results than Google. And we also have a lot of resources like PubMed, as I mentioned. So PubMed also is a good search engine. Agris also has a built-in search engine. So use one of these search engines and perform your search. So as we discussed, when we perform a search, words are very important. The words that you put in, decide the fate of your search. If you use right kind of words, proper words, the results will be very accurate. So there are two aspects here when we use the words. One is the semantics and the other is the syntax. By semantics, we talk about the meaning of the words. And in syntax, we talk about the grammar is in the words. And to overcome the problem of semantics, we use right kind of terminology or use thesaurus or any kind of vocabulary control tool available to you. For example, we come across a lot of synonyms, So in case of synonyms are different words carrying the same meaning. So when you have synonyms, you need to put in as many words as possible so that you get the appropriate results. Similarly, we also have homonyms. So homonyms are, the word is same, but the word has different meaning in different context. For example, you take the case of bat, for example, BAT, bat. So bat has a particular meaning in sports. Bat has a particular meaning in zoology. The bat is also an animal. Bat is also a sports instrument. So depending on the context, you qualify that with some more words. So when you qualify, use more than one word, then the question of grammar comes. When you need to combine, when you have more than one word, you need to combine them. When you combine them, you use grammar. You use a lot of operators. Some of the operators that we use are Boolean operators, adjacency operators we use. Because the order in which the words occur, sometimes can change the meaning. Like for example, school, library and library, school. There is a lot of difference between a school library and a library school. So similarly, management, school and school management. The meaning changes if you jumble the words. Same thing will happen in a such strategy. So so grammar becomes important in that case, the way you put the words. So and also the operators like OR logic, AND logic, NOT logic. These three are Boolean operators. So we use the Boolean operators to specify what exactly we want. OR operator we use OR operator generally for increasing the
precision.
For bringing in more content into your search. For broadening your search, we use OR operator. For narrowing your search, we use AND operator. For excluding certain things from your search, we use NOT operator. So OR and AND are inclusion operators, while the NOT is an exclusion operator. So you can also have a combination of all these operators, OR, AND, NOT. You can combine them, and you can also use parenthesis, and we can also restrict your search. You can also restrict by a country. You can say I restrict my search only to India. Like for example, I want only Indian history. Suppose you say you perform a search on history and restrict it to India. And similarly, you can also restrict it by a particular period. You say I want only last 6 months content. I want only last 5 years content. In that way, also you can use restrictions. These are also called filters. These filters are also available in the search engine. And after performing a search, we also do some kind of a post processing. So the content that you get out of a search, when you pass it on to a user, you try to organize it, in a helpful way. So you may like to organize it journal wise, or by relevance you may like to organize it, or sometimes we may like to give the most recent content in the beginning, old content at the end of your printout. So you post process it and then give it to the user so that it becomes more usable, and then they will be able to get the best out of that.
So far we have discussed the different databases on science and technology that are available on the internet, and also the different search techniques that can be employed to retrieve the right information, and by small repackaging the information we can provide efficient services to our user community. Thank you, sir, for coming to the studios.
It's my pleasure, madam. It's always a pleasure to come to Ambedkar Open University and share our experiences.
Thank you.
మా కార్యక్రమాలపై మీ సూచనలు సలహాలు తెలియచేయండి. మీ సూచనలు సలహాలు తెలియచేయవలసిన చిరునామా: డైరెక్టర్, ఆడియో విజువల్ ప్రొడక్షన్ అండ్ రీసెర్చ్ సెంటర్, డాక్టర్ బిఆర్ అంబేద్కర్ ఓపెన్ యూనివర్సిటీ, ప్రొఫెసర్ జి రామరెడ్డి మార్గ్, రోడ్ నంబర్ 46, జూబ్లీ హిల్స్, హైదరాబాద్ 500033.